Okay, so as I record this, there's like 4 minutes left in the third quarter, and it's a 30-point game. Safe to say this one's over. The first thing to say is if Dragic and Bam are going to be hurt through any period of this series, missing games, whatever, then this is over. And there's really not much to talk about. We can throw everything out the window, and that's that. So we're going to have to see moving forward. As far as this game is concerned, you could just say that the loss of Dragic pretty much sealed Miami's fate. I mean, look, I picked the Lakers going into this, and while I gave Miami like a bit of a chance to make it a series, I didn't really entertain the idea at all of them being able to win this thing. But of course, the loss of Dragic is huge in this game because Miami runs so much through him, and I mean, we saw how big he was against the Celtics. We, of course, saw how great Bam was against the Celtics and the whole playoffs. I mean, we forget they beat the Bucks in round 2. So that's all pretty obvious, and I think that's the first thing to say is we hope those guys are good. We hope Jimmy's ankle is good. As far as the actual basketball stuff to talk about, I mean, the Lakers made every three they attempted, and they were flying around like crazy on defense, and outside of the first 6 minutes or whatever, might have been a little longer than that, Miami could not get anything on offense, really. I mean, if we think about some things that the Lakers were doing early on, they were attacking Dwight in pick and roll, and Dwight was dropping. Well, actually, let me back up first. Dwight started over JaVale. Lakers went with two bigs. Dwight was on Bam. Bam was on Dwight. AD and Crowder were guarding each other. The Heat were fronting the post on AD. Sometimes they were running a zone off ball, or when AD was off the ball, to try to stop him from getting the ball in the post a little bit. And the Lakers did go with AD at center when LeBron wasn't in the game, and I think there was a bit of AD at center when LeBron was in the game as well, and then it was a little more of AD and Bam together, and okay, we got that out of the way, because those were some questions going into the series, right? And we'll see if Bam is healthy, if he ends up guarding AD more moving forward, because AD was killing him, and then the question becomes, well, how do you stop Dwight on the offensive glass or whatever? I don't know, man, but AD was killing him, so there's that. So anyway, the Dragic-Bam pick and roll. They went at Dwight early on. Dwight was dropping. I think it was Danny Green who was on it a good chunk of the time. I think Caruso ended up being on it a couple times, or at least one time from what I remember. I could be wrong. And they just kind of dropped, not too hard. They had Dragic's defender kind of sandwich Dragic between the defender himself and Dwight. And then sometimes they would have an extra guy come over. There was one specific time where they didn't have the extra guy come over, and Dwight, I think it led to an offensive rebound for Bam, and then Dwight was looking around like, where the hell was the help? But then other times, sometimes it was LeBron. Sometimes it would happen so fast that I couldn't really tell in the moment. But it just seemed like eventually the Lakers just kind of found a way to scramble onto Dragic and bring the help, but then not get killed on shooters. There was one play specifically where the Lakers did a great job of like double teaming somebody on the elbow, and then it was like KCP who ran over from his guy on the opposite elbow to guard the guy who was kind of at the top of the key, and then one of the dudes in the double team ran over to help out KCP so he could get back to his guy. I might have the names mixed up, but there was one specific play where I was just like, holy crap, that is really, really good defense. And it was kind of reminiscent of what they did against Houston, where, double Harden, chase shooters, and, well, that was like a little taste of it there. Another thing to make note of was that Miami was trying to get Dwight switched onto Jimmy, and LeBron, who was guarding Jimmy, we saw that happen, just kind of didn't let him get it. Now, Jimmy did hit a couple of contested threes when this game was close, so for what that's worth. But LeBron was either going under the screen, he was going over the screen. They did everything they could to not give Jimmy that switch, and LeBron did a good job. I mean, there has been talk by one specific media member who said that the Lakers would need to hide LeBron defensively in this series. I don't know why that person believed that one. It was Bill Simmons, just by the way. So, that's good. As far as ways that Miami can get Jimmy going a little bit more, you can try going at other guys on screens, and perhaps you'll have a better time of it. They did have one play where it was a Bam Dragic, I think it was Dragic, handoff play, and Jimmy was cutting at the same time, and that led to a 12-foot jump shot or something for him over Danny Green, I believe it was. I guess one thing you could try with Jimmy is some really high screens. The thing that I say for LeBron a lot, I think it could apply to Jimmy as well. Just get him going downhill a little bit more, as opposed to he's on the elbow, LeBron's on him, he's got to survey the floor for a couple seconds and then make his move. But yeah, basically what happened with Miami's offense, besides Dragic being hurt, is the Lakers are just huge and they move around the floor really, really well, and Anthony Davis can do everything. On the other side of things, Miami defending the Lakers, I think we did see some double teams on LeBron. It did not work because one time he threw a skip pass to AD in the opposite elbow. That was a three that went in. Another time was a LeBron post-up. It led to a Kuzma corner three that went in. I think one was a Markieff Morris top of the key three that went in. I think another one led to a Caruso drive because his dude was closing out to him a little bit. Basically, LeBron made the right play every time, and he made it very quickly. So what do you do if you're Miami? I mean, for one, you can just keep doing it and hope the shots don't go in. I mean, it's still possessions that LeBron isn't killing you with a layup or you're fouling him or whatever. And some of the shots were kind of tough. So I guess that's the first thing. And honestly, it might be the only thing. As far as other things to make note of when the Lakers are trying to score, there was some Bam switching onto LeBron. It also didn't totally work. I mean, sometimes it did because it at least stops the momentum of the play. But LeBron hit that three over Bam, which for Miami is a shot that you'll take. And another time, LeBron got by him and got to the free throw line. So we'll see how that continues moving forward, assuming Bam is healthy. If Bam's not healthy, then none of this matters, and we're all going to have to just sit and wait for the inevitable. Do we talk about Anthony Davis and everything he was doing? I mean, some of what AD was doing was taking advantage of the Lakers just getting into the defense. For AD's buckets, I mean, I don't remember there being many typical AD post-ups. I think he had 2 threes. He had a couple offensive rebounds. He had a couple of cuts off of initial penetration. So I don't really remember there being just the classic AD 16-footer or whatever, but there probably is like 1 or 2 that I'm not remembering. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, if Bam is good to go the rest of the series, then maybe he's just gonna have to be on AD. And the idea is, yeah, Dwight now has a smaller guy on him, but assuming you can box out Dwight, which is not an easy thing, but if it's between that or AD getting whatever he wants at the basket, then I think you pretty much don't have any other choice. So then you just have to hope that you can, again, box out Dwight. Maybe you gotta have a second guy in there, but that's the situation you're in. And you're also going to need to make sure he's not killing you on lobs and all that. It should be said, though, while we can of course say that, yeah, Bam not being healthy certainly made this tougher for Miami, and Dragic as well, Bam was not that great when he was out there, at least on offense. Missed a lot of shots. He got some trips to the free throw line, but it just seemed like he wasn't able to get as free in the half court or whatever as he was against the Celtics, and I think a lot of that comes back to the Lakers' size. I mean, I keep saying it. It's LeBron, Anthony Davis, and Dwight Howard patrolling around the basket. It's really tough to score in there. As for other things, I mean, Hero had a tough game. He was minus 39, which is not his fault, but it's quite a stat to look at. I say all of this as if the game is not over yet. It's totally still happening as I'm doing this commentary. Duncan Robinson wasn't able to really get free for shots. He only had 3 3-point attempts, or at least as I'm doing this. Yeah, basically anything that could have gone wrong for the Heat in Game 1 went wrong. But if Bam and Dragic are healthy, then I think they can still make this a series. Again, I did not pick them to win, and I'm honestly surprised by how many people have picked them to win. But, I thought this could at least be good. So we'll see what happens. Also, I'm going to tack this on at the end of the video. I may do a preview for each game in this series. I'm definitely going to react to every game. I might also do like a what could we see in the next game sort of deal. I don't know, it's an idea. They're both going to kind of bleed into each other. So we'll see if I end up doing it or not, but there'll definitely be a reaction to each game, although, again, if Bam and Dragic can't play, then this series is nowhere near as fun as it could have been.